Hello everybody, Curious Corduroy here, and over the past week or so, a new data mining leak in regards to Microsoft's potential new device has come out. The leak was posted by Taro Alhonen on Twitter. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize if I got that wrong. I don't want to butcher anyone's name. But they showed a listing of product names, and one of the new devices was being codenamed Keystone. Now this has got people talking because there are two other codenames listed before Keystone, those being Scorpio and Durango, which were being used for previous Xbox platforms. And underneath Keystone, we actually see the Azure Cloud Platform, which I think I spoke about briefly a long time ago. Essentially, it's this really powerful cloud service being created by Microsoft that other companies can utilize. Sony was even in talks at one point in time in utilizing this specific cloud platform. John from Spawnwave thinks it could be the Xbox streaming stick, which is something that some people have been talking about for a while. Microsoft themselves have been talking about this streaming stick as well. It's something akin to a Chromecast or a Fire Stick that would allow the user to plug the device into a TV or a computer and gain access to Xbox Game Pass and xCloud streaming services. I do agree with John for a few reasons. The first one being manufacturing a pro version of these new consoles seems pretty redundant at this point in time, so I don't think Keystone is a new console. Our consoles are already very powerful and don't really require many upgrades other than a change in storage space. We're also still dealing with a very massive chip shortage that would probably prevent a pro console from releasing anytime soon. Also, the current iterations of these consoles are still very hard to find. You can't just walk into a Best Buy and say, hey, I want a Series X or a PlayStation 5 and then walk out with one. And granted, most companies like Sony and Microsoft do work on pro editions of their consoles pretty early on, but there are still too many obstacles in the way of that right now, such as that massive chip shortage we're dealing with and availability. Manufacturing a streaming stick, however, bundled with a controller and something like Game Pass Ultimate would probably be a much easier and cheaper alternative, not only to produce over a console, but to sell as well, since it would be so much more affordable. We do have someone like Michael Pachter, who is hit or miss these days, seemingly mostly miss, who has stated that in 10 years he believes that PlayStation will no longer exist. What exactly does he mean by that, you know? Probably that consoles will no longer exist and that Microsoft will have taken over the market with their streaming services and that gaming will move exclusively to streaming. However, I think we still have at least one or two more console generations in us. Selling consoles and games is still very important to companies like Sony and Nintendo, and while the former has made small efforts to add streaming and downloading games through a service, their main focus is still the console experience. However, in my opinion, streaming games isn't as viable as of right now. There are still way too many variables to factor in for gaming. With movies or music, you can stream no problem. However, again, too many variables affect that gaming experience. One of the biggest ones being internet quality. America's internet infrastructure still isn't great, and streaming games from xCloud or Stadia, while at times serviceable, still aren't quite where they need to be for gaming. Input lag, resolution, these are all major factors for games that movies and music don't really have to worry about too much. And ironically, as I record this video, my internet is down. The area where I live in, we only have Xfinity as our choice of internet, and it seems like multiple times a month our internet just completely crashes and dies for 30 minutes to multiple hours for sometimes, and as of right now it is currently down. So I know it's not on my end. I've gone through different modems and routers over the years and still experienced this issue. So this alone is proof for me that streaming games is not going to become something that is the main way to play games. I think it's going to be something that is mostly a side thing for a lot of these companies like Sony and Nintendo, like I mentioned before. Although I think Microsoft is definitely putting more of an effort forth to make streaming their center focus. I've stated this before, Microsoft's platform isn't the Xbox. That's not what they're focused on anymore. Their focus is Game Pass, it's xCloud, it's getting these services into as many homes as possible, and creating some sort of streaming stick is one of the easiest ways to do that. They also do want to try and get these streaming services onto mobile phones and into smart TVs and built into laptops and computers. So they're very much focused on that. But again, we still have way too many problems going on with internet. Some areas don't even have high-speed internet still, and if they do, it's not great. And comparing it to something like movies or music just isn't really equatable. You know, there's times where I watch a movie on Amazon Prime and the movie starts off in 480p and then slowly jumps to 720p until it reaches its maximum resolution. And then somewhere along the way, it drops down to 720p again. So I can't imagine how annoying that would be for a game, especially if you're playing a fighting game, which demands precise timing. I just don't really think that we are quite there yet when it comes to streaming as our main platform for gaming. Now, with all that being said, we're probably still a few years from figuring out what exactly this Keystone device is, but I would love for you guys to leave your comments down below on what you think it is. Is it a streaming stick? Is it a new pro version of an Xbox console? Is it something completely different I haven't speculated on? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. I'm Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video, and remember, as always, be excellent to one another.